It'd be a good idea if I brought up a monitoring page, and we should be live now. Going to, oh, what was my channel name again? Here we go. Come over here, your channel. And I'm going to get a sound check. And I'm going to get a, yeah, there, I hear that. Now I've also got to put on the headset, which I should have done before going live, because you're going to see a little video glitch as this thing wakes up. And video again. I've got the spinning circle of death on my YouTube. I'm going to refresh that monitoring page. And then here's I've got the spinning circle of death. Yeah, there it is. So that's back. And I come back to here. Now, just as there are multiple Dougs, we had Ken active in the chat room that said he was going to be driving. But another Ken is here in Zoom. Which Ken are you? Go ahead and unmute.
I'm not the smart one. You're still buffering on my end.
Am I?
Yeah. And I refreshed twice.
I configured it to buffer for your computer only.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's going on. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's always me. It's always me who's behind it. Okay. My refreshment today is Henry Weinhardt's root beer. That's today's sponsor. Anyone believes that? I'll sell you a bridge as well.
Yeah, there's horrible lagging going on. It could be my system, because I refreshed and you got to see the root beer bottle you held up, but now it's lagging again. And I'll refresh one more time.
Go see what people in chat are saying. Let's see.
Yeah, now it refreshes, or now it's buffering again on YouTube. I think it's just a YouTube issue, honestly. I really do. I'm not getting that. You want to find out why this is happening pop-up that always comes with it. But now it went back to normal, so nope, now it's lagging again. Wow.
Boss says the audio appears to be out of sync. Ida says it looks out of sync. Refresh the page. Tony says AVDVR good, but here's the watch, Tony.
Okay, I gotta kill the camera for a second. My beautician just walked in. As well as the microphone.
Beautician. Oh yeah, you turned it off. Hello, Chris Garrett.
Hey.
You look like you're looking at something else, but I think you're actually looking at the broadcast. Why don't you turn over the camera and wave hi for us? Thank you.
I'm looking at the computer screen. I got a fixed tripod. I'll fix it up like that. That's better, isn't it?
All right. Yep. So I'm going back to chat and see what people are saying. See if we can get sync going. Let's see. I'm checking what my streaming software is telling me. Not seeing any error symptoms there. How about going to, I'll go to the Livestream studio. That's saying excellent connection right there. 18 concurrent viewers. The other viewers aren't concurrent, I guess. And then come back to chat. Jim just got in the door, got be there in a bit. Ida says it's in sync after refreshing. She says, thank you to Winter Mute. Hello, Speedy C, Lawn Dog. Right now, Doug, what I'm seeing on you two looks fantastic. No audio or video sync issues, but I just popped in. I rushed home from the store to be here. Oh, thank you, Lawn Dog. What flavor of beer are you drinking? The flavor is root. It's in a dark bottle, so it might be that kind that can make you grow hair on your chest. I'm curious. Well, I'll show that again. You probably missed it. Henry Weinhardt's, not Reinhardt, root beer, gourmet soda, as it's called. The demeanor, hello. Jeff, hello. Rand says, I'm synced, the others aren't. 2 refreshes did the trick for boss. Really, oh man, you're really throwing a Coors at me. I didn't expect root beer. A curve, probably. Really throwing curves at me. Maybe that's what he meant. So I was away from the keyboard for a while. So somewhere back here, I was the last. Oh, Ken said he's just on long enough to hear the challenge that I have for him. So let me get to that. Because I think
it took me shutting down the internet completely and restarting it, because it was, as long as anything else is running, 2 seconds and it's lagging. Now it's fine.
So you were off for a little while. You didn't hear what I was saying about you. I'm good.
No, I took the headphones off. My beautician had to get me beautiful for this little thing that's going on. So.
Oh, that was that actually what your camera off was, that you were resetting your internet?
Yeah. Well, no, the camera was off because she was doing my hair.
Oh, it really was that.
Mm-hmm.
Which I got to tell you, from the point of view watching you on camera, I don't get it, because all I see is a thin area of black. No matter whether you say your hair is messy or when it's just been done. So I don't know what it is. But anyway, I know you need to go. So I'll tell you what, you have said multiple times that if you can imagine it, it can be done, referring to DaVinci. Well, in my Fortnite channel, I've been tinkering around with a type of video that would be searchable, and that is that Fortnite has these quests or challenges to do. So you go do those in game, and then in the upper left of the screen, when you meet the challenge, it displays the challenge that you met in text. What I want to do is blow that up real big and make that part of the thumbnail. But I know when I blow up something like that, it gets all grainy and not easy to read. So this is me imagining blowing something up and making it look clear. So Ken Stout, that's something I can imagine. Do you think that can really be done?
I will get my research team right on that, but I don't see Greg's here yet, so I have to postpone that. But
yeah,
I will clearly, yes, I'll look into it and see what I can do.
Well, I'll give you the disclaimer that I have not even Google searched it. So I haven't investigated it at all, but it is something that I would seriously like to do, and I think seriously could help that channel grow. And the parameters of it, ideally, I'd like to be able to just clip that area where that message comes up and have a way to make it visible when it's big. I don't need it. I don't need to blow it up in video, though. I just want it for the thumbnail.
Okay.
Okay. So it's just going to be just still, and it's some editing time is allowed. So what I'm looking for is a method to blow it up and be able to do that as I make those particular videos, and there'll probably be somewhere around 8 of them per week that I would do. Now, okay. I have Adobe Premiere and Adobe After Effects, so it's quite likely if you find the technique, the concept, the strategy, that I would probably try to replicate that in Adobe After Effects.
Sure.
So it's just, what's the strategy? Because I was thinking maybe it can be, maybe when you take the clip, you can convert it to a different style of graphic image. I know that the line art, I'm not thinking of the right extension for that, but some of the graphics are based on line art. Some are raster images, I think it's called, where it's just all the dots. So there's different styles, different picture formats. So I'm thinking maybe it can be converted, then it would blow up, or maybe there's some way to like similar to what you do in DaVinci with key. What's the keying thing called? Key, where you put in points along the way where it transitions from one place to another.
Keystrokes?
No. When you want something to move from one keyframes, there you go, keyframes. Yeah. Premiere has the same concept, has the same capability. But similar how keyframes, you can put in a starting point and an ending point, and it will calculate all the points in between so that it can make an image transfer between. Well, I'm wondering if when you blow up the dots in a small image, is there something that can, take the adjacent dots when it's a real small image, when it's blown up, if it can interpolate what dots should exist between that blown up image in order to make the image look good.
I will work on it. I do have
theories.
one quick favor, and then I really do have to go. Tonight on your DaVinci, tonight on your DaVinci, while you and Doug are fighting, tonight on your Fortnite, when you and
Dennis
are fighting, if that pops up, make a comment on comments that this is it, so I know exactly what I'm looking for, please.
Yeah, I will do that. And I was thinking I would actually do, those YouTube clips. The YouTube clip technique where I can send a few seconds of a video by link. Better. So I send that link to you, and it would take you right to that spot in that video so that you can see it in video form. And then you can capture it from there and work with that.
Yep. All right, I got to run. Got to go see a bunch of old people. Thanks, Doug.
Thanks,
Jeff, Chris, everyone in chat. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Now the Zoom will get real. I mean, yeah. Bye.
Hello, Jeff.
Hello. Ken's got his high school reunion this afternoon.
Oh yes, I knew that he was not going to be available today. I didn't quite remember that it was the reunion, but yeah, and I know that he's done some preparation work through DaVinci for that, hasn't he?
Yeah, every day he had this little thing he would update and knock one day off until so many days until the reunion, whatever.
Oh yes, and there was some kind of a photo of the class. Now I don't know, did he provide?
He had one of his high school, and he had the words rotating around the school in the video.
Yeah,
he made with DaVinci. It was kind of nice, actually.
Did he actually provide any of those materials to the reunion for their promotional?
I don't know. Originally, he was thinking about it. I don't know if he did. I think he just posted this on Facebook or something.
Ah, okay. All right. I'm going to go take a look at chat. Try to do a brief catch up with chat. I think I'm gonna kind of just basically say hello to people. I don't think I'm going to try to read everything into the video. Yeah, I know I said hello to people up there. There's Josh. Hello. Hey, Josh. Next weekend, you and me, Fortnite together. Okay? Next weekend. We'll play together live and stream it. We can both stream it. I do get a circle. Okay, where is Kat Sango? Is he referring to Catherine? I'm not sure there.
Ken answered it. She's in Switzerland visiting family.
Oh, okay. And Ida says hello, everyone. Coco, I think that was a pet of hers, isn't it? Didn't she show us? Is that what she's telling us? Died last Tuesday. Sorry for your loss, Ida, and forgive me if I'm remembering wrong. Class was dismissed due to Hurricane Fiona. Everything is fine, at least in the north part of the island. Okay, well, glad you're okay. So far, so much for me saying I wasn't going to read, right? I just want to say hello, Mortant. Let's see, Ida, Ken, Darren, hello. Oh yes, I saw that. Laughed like crazy with a comment on the video about my background picture that somebody thought was my child, and it's actually my grandson. Didn't know I looked so young. It was sure nice to have you in the Zoom session with us, Ida. Hello, Chris, Aaron, Tony, Ken, people saying hello to each other, Jonathan, boss. Let's see, them all saying hello back and forth to each other, scrolling. There's Jim, just got in the door, be there in a bit. Great, Jim, thanks for letting us know. In sync, Speedy C, hello. Right now, let's see, that's the sync issues. Let's skip over that. The beer. Refresh. Yes, he did say curves. Selden Ball, hello. See, I got it right. Somebody pointed out to me that I've been calling him Selden Bell. It's Ball. Doug, what's it called when your IP company reissues a new address, like re-registering or something like that? It does so very often. That's just a new IP address. Is there a name for it? A word for that? We're just signing you a new public IP address to your router. I can't remember the terminology.
Picked up a new lease.
New lease. Yeah, that's right. It's because it's a leased address. Not that you're paying for it. Well, you are paying for it. But I think I'm getting old. A lot of words and a lot of terminology. Can't think of grab it off the database in my head. Saying hello to each other. Keyframe. Oops, it jumped on me. I have times there. There. AI software which is available to do idealized upscaling, even to regenerate the image so your viewpoint can fly into an image. Yeah, well, Ken's actually doing some camera manipulation in his images. Well, it's a virtual camera. Goes back and forth, trying to skip through them. Yes, they were provided with them. Yes, they were provided with them. I'm not sure what conversation that was. You and me are generally from the same era. One new terminology that is troublesome to me is not referring to things as programs, but apps, plugins. To me, plugin is something that's part of a program that you plug in. But today, I possibly stumbled on an interesting app, as they call it. May not be part of the program, may run independently. I understand what you're saying there. So the terminology of an app is getting confusing. There is a difference between what's an app and a program. But a program is standalone executable, and the apps are what is it called? UAP. Universal A something or other.
Well, there's universal Windows applications.
Yeah.
That's the wrong term too.
Yeah, because it's UAP. The letters UAP is a Windows app that you get from the Windows Store, and it's it makes it easier.
A program though.
Well, sort of, but it allows the programmers to not have to do as much low-level programming. They can take basically the Windows UAP programming foundation and build on top of it, whereas a standalone program would have to recreate or provide a lot of that underlying technology. So the UAP...
Yeah, well, but you've got a bunch of Windows DLLs that come with their C, C++, and other compilers.
Well, that's
have a lot of those things in them. I'm not sure how to differentiate exactly.
Yeah, it is. It's a weird, ambiguous thing until you're actually doing it. Until you're actually doing the work. But let's not get too deep into that.
Nope.
Let's see. That's between people. Reacquire an IP address. That's a good way to say it. Getting the new lease, renew. Yeah, with ipconfig/renew, that's the way to get a new IP address from your router. So your internet router renewing its IP lease. some wording around that. Finding the two to be interchanged and find the word app more common. UWP, Universal Windows Platform. I pronounced it as UAP. Was I just remembering that wrong? UWP? That might be, I just said it wrong. Don't apps come from Apple because it's short to Apple? I do not think that Windows was trying to copycat Apple. UAP, Universal App Platform. Yeah, there we go. I think those are two. I think both of those acronyms are valid. They may have slightly different meaning. They may be close, but not API. API is Application Programming Interface, and that's where you could have like a database software, perhaps on a SQL server, or it could be a Microsoft Access database for that matter. And then you have some other program that you're designing and you want it to be able to pull information out of that database or out of that other program. So that other program, the database, would have an application programming interface. It's a method that they provide to other programs to allow the other programs to reach into my stuff and provide whatever data or information that they want to get out of the hosting program. Google leads me to believe UAP is from Apple only. Oh, then maybe that's the difference, Jeff. UWP, Universal Windows Program. I believe they pretty much ditched that concept a few years ago. There was a big push when Windows 10 first came out to get programmers to use the UWP to create apps. Yeah, and the big problem was they couldn't convince them to do it. The programmers weren't stepping up to the plate to use that. Ran into problems. An API lets you pull information from a standardized library using specified call sequence. Well, that's well worded, Jeff. And Jim's here. Let's get to that button, this button here. Hello, Jim. Way across the room. Just wave hi. You don't have to come over. All right.
I'm always happy to see Jim's office. Makes me feel better about my messy office.
Oh, please.
I like
this whole thing, believe me, is a disaster 20 years in the making.
Well, mine's a disaster about 2 years in the making after the fire we had.
I love seeing non-blurred background and see what the reality of it is, because I can totally connect and identify with that.
You can see all the boxes piled behind me in my office.
Yeah, I try to be better about it with this, but there are times when I do some straightening up before broadcast time, because it just, as I'm throwing and going, coming in and out, stuff piles up. And sometimes I'll just take the piles of stuff and put it on the other side of the wall. Let's get to introduce the topic. Last two here. What do people think of EVGA getting out of the GPU market, at least according to some channels on YouTube? I do not keep up with that kind of news. I have nothing to say about it. Absolutely, Jim's computer area is reminiscent of mine, though I have several areas from Lawn Dog. Okay. Hello to Rick Lakes.
I think that's his ham radio stuff.
For Jim, yeah. It looks like there's probably lots of variety of stuff there. Okay, so let's go talk about today's topic. Where do I want to get? Yeah, so, well, that brings Jim back to the seat to talk about the topic, didn't it?
Oh, I have a affinity for virus infected machines. I consider them to be an interesting challenge sometimes. I mean, the ransomware, that's one thing. Once the ransomware is there, you're pretty much screwed. But a virus laden machine, I live for those.
Oh, what happened to my? Oh, there it is. Picture in picture on the broadcast. Okay, so here, investigating a probably infected computer. And the computer in question is This one behind me, this HP, what more do I tell you about it? It's a Pavilion model 500-267C. The Dell 7000 computer that I've had on the show a few times is the computer that replaced this one. So this computer, the user was reporting, is very sluggish. I concurred with that and witnessed the symptom. And in this office, we're already planning to re-outfit the entire office with new Windows 11 computers from Dell within the next 2 to 3 years. We actually were taking steps towards doing it, starting it this year, but then the company decided they want to hold off. So I said, why not just go ahead and get this first one, and it'll be the prototype for the office. And it was for one of the senior partners in the law firm. So they said yes to that. So we just bought the new computer and did not try repairing this computer at all. So I have done some preparation for today, and I have photos of the work that I've been doing on this computer over the last couple of days. I'm going to show you the photos so I can set you up, and then we're actually going to do live work on the computer today. And it actually is, let's see, that's this camera, right? Over on that monitor has the results of some of the prep work that I've been doing. So what I'm going to do here is show you the pictures in order to communicate the symptom. So you're actually seeing the symptom on the computer. So here's Task Manager. The computer's been on for 7 minutes, 37 seconds at this point, and the hard disk is at 100% utilization. So this is what was happening, is the hard disk is just at full utilization for long periods of time, and then sometimes it'll settle down. Then going on to the next picture, here we're at, well, this one doesn't show me how long, but again, 100% active, and this is the performance tab. Let me point out what tabs. This one back here is the performance tab, but I'm selected on CPU because that shows how long it's been up. When we go to the click on this item right here to show the drive, it has a C partition, M partition, and a D partition. So this is showing activity of all of those, but it is actually only the C drive that has all the activity. We'll see that in a little bit. Down here we see read speed and we see write speed. Not too concerned about that right now. This is the boot drive. And then go on to the next one. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on each of these photos because there's a lot of photos. So here we're in the resource monitor. I'm going to back up one photo first to point out the way to get to the resource monitor is clicking right here. It says resource monitor. So click on that. It lets me get more detailed information about the CPU or the disk or network or memory. And I have the disk section expanded here so we can see what's going on. Up here shows 99% highest active time, and the blue side is the write. Yeah, see here the write column is very active, but the read column is not active. The read column represented by the green, the write column represented by the blue, and this is showing that system is what's showing as taking up most of the workload. It's sorted in this column right here. You see that V right there? That's telling us that we're sorted on this column in descending order. So the most busy, the one that's taken up the most utilization is up here at the top. Now later, on the later photo, I make this wider so that you can really see what the size of those numbers are. But let's go on to the next one.
I think I have a slight idea as to what's going on, but continue.
Okay. So here's oh, this is probably a later time. This is that same resource monitor expanded to take up the width. And we're seeing actually this one that said system, what is it? Well, it's a temporary file edge. It's in an edge folder. Temp is the one that's on top. And then here's another edge core. Now at this time, during all of these photos, I had no programs open. The computer was freshly restarted, and all I've had open was Task Manager and Resource Monitor, just the items that you're seeing in these photos. Going to the next photo, and all this one's showing, I think, is that the item on the top of the list changes. So I'm going back one. That says MS Edge 1421. Okay, well, it didn't change in that one. Going to the next photo to after that, 1421 MS Edge. Next one, that's showing the same one. I didn't care a whole lot about what these file names are. Now over here, this disk graphic, the blue line is way at the top. When you look at this disk graphic at first glance, you might say, well, that green, that doesn't look like it's all that busy. But this blue line is way at the top. And
The
then
blue's the
occasionally,
right, the green's the read.
yeah, occasionally it drops down. But the blue across the top here, this is all 100% busy when the blue's at the top. Going to the next picture. And let's get to the next one. I'm going to get to some other. It's not going any further. What's going on? Let me go figure out why that's not going to another picture. There. Was that even going to the next pictures? That one, did that one, that one, that one, that one. I don't remember showing you this. Okay, I think this is where we left off. Now the right arrow is going to the next one. So here's where we're showing the disk column sort of in descending order. Now service host sysmain is at the top. Next one, here we're 10 minutes, 54 seconds. We still got 100% disk utilization. And then I pulled up Windows Update. The computer had been off for maybe a couple weeks. So there are some Windows updates trying to install here. And then this photo, app depository, state depository, SVC host. So this is something different on top. The thing I'm pointing out here is it's not always the same one. Oh, I see. I've got to zoom all the way out and then go on to the next photo. That's why I got stuck there a while ago. I'm going to get past these onto something else. Here we got 12 minutes 57, still have full disk utilization, occasionally drops down. And same idea here. I'm showing this progress of the updates. Continue to next picture, next picture. Here's 16 minutes, still got 100% utilization. And here's 24 minutes. Still have 100% disk utilization. Of course, as I'm taking all these pictures, I'd never know what's going to happen next. Here we have something else at the top of the list, system volume information. And I've seen that in there is a place to store system restore points, and I believe volume shadow copy services also stores in there.
Bloody hell, all the Candy Crush thing going on.
Oh, yes, yes. Thank you for noticing that. Yes. And this user he doesn't know what Candy Crush is. Yeah, all this Candy Crush stuff going on. Thank you for catching that.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. I believe what's going on is the infection is disguising itself using program names and file names that are known to be part of Windows to try to not be noticed. Okay, so Windows updates still going on. And then here, look at this. We have disk 0 utilization. So it's finally calmed down. And I think, did I get I've got to have a timestamp on that. Sure. Disk activity here. Here we have, see all these zeros for writes. There's just no more writes going on. Here's the time. That's 4 hours. I don't know when it calmed down because I just wasn't able to keep watching it, but it did calm down. And that was 8:44 p.m. Last night. So this all started, did I show you a start time at the beginning of this? If I go all the way to the left, to give me the first one, then come up here to the 3-dot menu and then file info. So this picture was taken, shows us here somewhere, 4:51 p.m.
Dear God.
Now, I'm not saying that it took 4 hours to calm down, but after 4 hours, it was down to 0 utilization right here. So then moving on. Next photo here, what am I trying to show? Sorted by writes. Disk activity looks pretty reasonable over there. We have MSMP engine, which I believe is Windows Defender, and a page file. And down here, I'm actually seeing the time 8:43 p.m. And here showing 4 hours, 25 seconds. That time. Anything I'm trying to show here. 1% highest active time for the reads. The updates, there's a cumulative update, 100%, and oh, that's Defender. There was, in one of the previous screens when I first showed the Windows Update screen, I think there was another item in there that is usually very, very quick to install, but it was taking a long time because of the sluggishness. Now here's Process Monitor from sysinternals. And what I did there is, you see that only this button right here is active, and that's for file activity. So I started filtering this down to just see file activity, although that's 8:52 p.m. When the disk activity is calm, that's not quite so significant. It's a Western Digital drive, a spinning drive, 7200 RPM, SATA 600 drive and bus, showing as good condition. Oh, by the way, when we were looking at those, the list of file names, you could see they were all the C drive. I mentioned earlier that, yeah, this drive has C drive and D drive and M drive, but it was just the C drive that was active. Here's a speed test for a spinning drive. That seems reasonable.
No.
No?
No spinning
Why?
drive reads that high.
Oh?
I've never seen a spinning disk read that high. That looks like that's an SSD speed.
I agree.
All right. And Gary says agree to that?
Yeah.
All right. And by the way, let's see, let's go here to
Oh, Crystal Disk Mark 6.0. Yeah, that's reasonably out of date. They're up to 8.
Oh, okay. That might be what's going on. We could check on that. So hello, Gary, and hello, Josh. I have you on screen right now, so you can say hello. Josh, how about looking up and saying hello? Or not. All right.
Thank you.
Nice people.
All right. Well, let's move on.
Go back to, could you go back to what the drive was for just a second?
Yeah. Here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that drive does not transfer data that fast.
All right.
I guarantee it. So first thing I would do in your next realm of replacing your tools is replace Crystal Disk Mark, because that's way out of date.
Well, I do have current. What I did is I just launched the Crystal Disk Mark that was already on his drive.
Right.
Yeah. So I know because I would typically copy all my tools. Oh, there he is, Josh, saying hello. Waving. When I would set up a computer, when I set this computer up for this client years ago, I copied my tools to it. So that's why it has such an out of date. But it wasn't an explanation for it being slow anyway. But I will at some point try it with the newer version just to show myself, just to teach myself that makes a difference. But that's not really the topic for today.
Right.
So we'll move on.
More about that.
Then I went to see what Windows Defender is going to tell me about it and started a full scan. The time for this was 6:54 a.m. this morning. Next photo, estimated running time 35 hours. And well, you know how estimates run. The next photo, 5 minutes later, showing 6 hours. The next photo at 7:03 a.m., 6 hours. The next photo at 7:22 a.m., just under 5 hours. So let's not read all of those. The time changes as it goes through. Here's at 8:57 a.m. this morning, 1 hour 45 minutes remaining. And then 8:58, 1 hour 45. And then this is showing a 100% disk utilization as this is running. Anti-malware service executable. That makes complete sense. That it would be using a 100% utilization for that. Oh, here, as this was all this morning, right? So as I was preparing for the show, I wanted to connect my capture device to be able to show you what's on its screen. And I was successful with that, but when I do that, I've got it on this monitor and my capture device would be the second monitor. Well, I wanted to duplicate what's on the first monitor on the second monitor. I didn't want to drag things across, right? So I right-clicked on the desktop to get to the place where you can change that setting to say that you want to duplicate instead of extend across the monitors. And this is what I got. When I right-click and then clicked on that, whatever that menu option is, the screen settings or display settings, this is what came up. MS settings in the upper left corner display. This file does not have an app associated with it for performing this action. Please install an app, or if one is already installed, create an association in the default app settings page. It means this part of Windows is broken. Next picture. 26 minutes remaining for the scan. And it appears as no threats found. 26 minutes remaining. Oh, the next photo has not transferred over from my phone. So instead of doing that, I'll just bring that computer up live and show you what's on its screen. This is what you're seeing here is the capture device. So that's the extended screen. So in order to show you what it came up with, I'll drag the windows from the primary screen to the secondary screen. Here's Task Manager. Boy, that's blurry.
I was just going to say, did you do this on purpose? This is all. Ooh.
Oh, no, I see what's going on. Turn off some blurs.
Hello, Doug.
Oh, there we go. Whew.
Hello, Josh.
I thought maybe my eyesight was going bad.
Yeah, I noticed before I dragged this over, even the taskbar looked blurry. Okay. Here, the mouse. There's the mouse. Here's Task Manager. So now I'll bring the Windows security page over.
Oh, hello. I'm watching it on the actual stream, so my reactions are delayed slightly.
Right.
But that's interesting.
Yeah, isn't it?
That looks suspiciously like a ransomware thing. That's not a good sign.
I guess Task Manager isn't serving us any purpose.
Not at this point, no.
Get rid of that.
Well.
Just back over to the primary monitor. So, it was telling us here, threats found, start the recommended actions, program Win32 uwamson.a!ml.
That's really weird.
Well, I have done a little investigation into that. And then there's a Start Actions button. This was a full scan. I'm not going to argue for or against, at this point, Windows Defender compared to other antivirus products, but I want to see what it would do here. Let's go check in with chat. Then I'm going to go bring up some screens about the investigations that I've done about that particular infection.
A quick comment, if I could, Doug.
Yeah, go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, real quick. I use Defender exclusively on my machines, and we use it at work exclusively. I've noticed it has a lot more false positives than a lot of others. We haven't had a lot of problems with getting real viruses, but it doesn't like anything that calls out, and it doesn't like anything that looks at the BIOS too deeply. Like if you go looking for product code, or excuse me, the activation code for Windows or something, it considers that a virus. Or if you have something that looks at, like, say, your Outlook PST file to find out what your password is, that's a virus. Even if you're running it yourself and you know you're running it.
That makes sense. It's easy to believe that.
Yeah, and gosh forbid if you do a BIOS call yourself in a assembler program, it throws up all over your system.
Yeah.
So you have to know go way around it. So not all these are viruses. It's real particular. It may be, but I like to investigate before we go crazy.
Okay, I'm scanning through here. I'm seeing some conversation going on regarding the EBGA. I'm going to stay away from that because I'm not researched or studied on that at all. Software proclivities, steady out. Yeah, I've seen a number of computers take maybe a few minutes after restarting them before it settles down and becomes usable, but that 24 minutes, no, that's too long. Doing a reinstall, let's see, it's specifically looking for things that are on topic. On this topic, I'm not objecting to you talking about other things at all. What's happening? Yeah, that's probably EVGA. I've watched disk activity. It looks like it's going through files as if it were doing a virus scan. Oh, and I've seen computers that the Windows Defender appears to be really taking a lot of disk time, and I've even come across methods to schedule it to do its scans off hours, and I've been able to stop it from overworking the drive. You must have a great monitor to see that coming through. Indicative behavior when I see this condition, it's like virus scan it's finally been completed and I get back control of the machine. Yeah. An exact cause. First thing I would do is get things out of the way, finish with the update. In this case, I don't think we need to do that because this computer has a significant history of me being aware of this behavior. That answers the question about what kind of storage drive. Traditional hard drive suspected not only that this is a 5400 RPM drive that affects performance. I thought it was a 7,000 something drive. Guest network. No, it is actually connected to my network. And the reason why I didn't protect that is because this computer has been in this infected state in my client's office that's no more protected than my network here, and none of the other computers have developed trouble. But that is a valid thought, that if I have a suspected infected computer, I should have it isolated from my home network to prevent my computers from becoming infected. Could be helpful to see these pictures reports with this machine with it being off the internet and how they compare. Actually, I do know that. When I first brought this computer into my office here, I interacted with it without being connected to the internet, and it seemed zippy. It really seemed like a fast computer. I don't think it has this trouble until the internet is connected. I can't say that I've gone back and verified that as proof positive. I'm hoping the updates in Crystal Disk Mark for the newer processors, other hardware, but for God's sake, don't quote me on it. Okay. Good consistency on the application, producing the same number of years in both updates. That is a SSD drive speed, not spinning. Yeah, I don't have that much need or frequency of doing speed tests. About the only times I've seen them is when you've seen me do them. This is going to be potentially one of the most informational videos you've made. Thank you, Landau. Oops, jumped on me. 35 hours, doesn't work all that well. Affected computer, dump antibiotics. All right, I got it. The first time I heard of computer viruses, I was working for a company that was not a computer company. It was early in my computer career doing computers for that specific office. My boss came in one day, told me about computer viruses that were the up and troublesome thing that's happening. And he was absolutely insisting that these were biological viruses inside the metal computers, the IBM PCs that we had back then. Biological viruses. Okay. check disk and the surface system file checker. Scan out because its mechanical hard drive could be failing. I don't think that's what we got going on here. I think we have substantial, but this Lawn Dog's comment there was probably
The
before.
SFC doesn't check the validity of the hard drive failing. It only checks corruption in the DISMs.
Yeah, that's right. Help the infect. Yeah, I already saw that. 10 seconds. Hard drive activity is either encrypting, which should have been completed some time ago, or sending out data. I think plenty of evidence that's not the case here. Windows safe mode troubleshooting helpful. No. Click down arrow next to the word high to show which file it is. It next to the word high. Oh, that's on the. Yeah, we'll get to that. That's right up this, right up there where it says high. I'm trying to reach the right mouse. This is so freaky. Yeah, the word high there is referring to that down arrow. We'll get to that in a minute. I would do a rootware scan on that machine. You may remove the virus, but may return to the next startup. Yeah, good point, because the virus that Windows Defender is detecting, maybe it can clean that. That doesn't mean that's the only infection there. And if there's a rootkit infection that Windows Defender isn't able to detect, then there could be still problems. Now, however, this computer is destined for whatever I choose to do with it. It's not going back to the client. It can be a lab machine for me. It can go to recycling. I can easily wipe the drive and move on, but I'm interested in what can be done with this. Panda Antivirus, Windows Defender is approaching potential threats with the right perspective. If somebody's poking into password areas with that suspicious activity, the virus is usually oh, that's a different person. Is that Jonathan continuing his comment from previous? Viruses usually disable. Oh, a virus infection would attempt to disable Windows Defender. And by the way, Windows Defender Active Protection did not detect a problem. It reported everything was fine. When I clicked to start this scan, it gave me whatever its verbiage is to saying everything's fine here. By the way, in all my years using Windows Defender Microsoft Security Essentials, my only complaint about the product is scanning for malware. They don't do what is called malware. Well, I think now they do.
That's what's anti-malware. That's what's running.
It is anti-malware now. But
it is a pig, though.
Yeah. Very well. They are absolutely the best when it comes to viruses, but malware is a different animal, and therefore Malwarebytes finds things. Well, see, Malwarebytes used to just go after malware. Didn't really have such a good reputation as far as I was aware of with viruses. But I think both products are doing both viruses and malware now. Confusing to the average person. Ken is listening now. Scanning through. It's malicious. Other feature, one other feature I would give a thumbs up into Windows Defender is now the ability to go offline and do a scan. Yeah, that's on my list for today. That's the best feature and should have been done a long time ago. I like what they have available for it. Now, I've never actually tried it. I'm intending to try that today. I would go to a disk that would be created, had to be the most recent virus definitions. I think this is probably going to be doing it now on a virtual disk. Well, of course, they were biological viruses in the computer. How else do you think they could spread? My computer gave me a cold. Lawn Dog to Jim, I would certainly like to hear some comments from you about your history dealing with viruses. Used to be real bad in the XP days.
That's an understatement.
Skipping through a little bit. Yeah, Windows 95. Man, I had this list of steps to do for an infection that involves so many different products. Hang on, Mom. Somewhere I have a collection of old DOS viruses from my days as computer security officer for a job I had 25 years. They're locked up in an encrypted zip file. It's from
On a
Jeff.
zip drive too, Jeff.
I actually have a zip drive someplace, but takes a parallel port.
Can you even buy those at Amazon?
Okay, I think I'm caught up here. Ryan asking people to like the video. Thank you, Ryan. All right, so let's go do that drop down. What am I doing wrong here? Oh, there. There. Yeah, he said do this drop down for high. I got to get the right mouse, get it to the right screen.
I was gonna say.
Here,
Let's
action
look at
options.
details. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, good point. Action options are quarantine, remove, allow, and details. And that I've got a user account control prompt on the other monitor. There.
Back up.
Win32 uwamson dot !ml. That does come up in Google search.
Not to interrupt you while you're talking, Doug, but did this come from the law office?
Yes.
They
Yeah.
probably have software that's calling back to a server someplace.
Yeah, this is law local on their C drive is A1 law. So now that I see that, I don't think this is the problem infection.
Right, I'm saying it's
level,
probably, no, go ahead.
yeah, it might be a false positive is what you're getting at, right?
Yeah, I've seen that on other things because we have that too with
Yeah.
our vertical software.
Alert level high, status active, date and time, detected, category settings modifier. This program is potentially unwanted behavior. Affected items. Yeah, that is not alarming. However, when I search for that infection name,
All kinds of interesting things come up.
yeah, and that's one of the problems is how on target is it? And so I said, what is uwamson.a!ml? Extremely threatening malware classified as a Trojan. Trojans can perform a multitude of invasive and nefarious actions. Well, every time you come across this description, it's just really scary because but it's not necessarily the problem that you have because the word Trojan just basically indicates it's code that came along with something else that could be utilized to do something really disastrous. It doesn't mean that particular software is doing it. So here we have is Win32 uwamson a!ml safe. I do that drop down here. It says it's perfectly safe. That's from Microsoft. And then here, what is a false positive? Falsely positively identifying a virus. Well, I think we're aware of what a false positive is. But then let's go on to other tabs that already opened up. I found a virus called uwamson. Any help on how to get rid of it? So let's see, we get down here. Could you have installed a game or the questionable software just before this started to show up? This is pretty generic, and recommending TDS killer, Microsoft Safety Scanner. This is not a specific response to that particular infection. On to this one. uwamson is extremely threatening malware classified as a Trojan. Trojans can perform multitude of invasive, nefarious actions on infected systems, depending on the specific goals of the attackers. Again, in my mind, kind of generic. It's not specifically about this infection, and that particular file might not be anything specific. Oops. That was some poking around about my smart speaker. Unrelated. All right. So we don't get anything real great there. The next step I'd like to move on to is trying this offline scanning that Windows Defender has. I don't know how long that might take. I have some indications that it's not as long as the full drive scan that we just did. Because I think that's just going after the rootkit type things, the operating system things, the auto launching stuff. I don't think it's doing a full drive scan. Could be wrong. Is it possible to get the file named a virus total to see what they have to say? Yeah, well, we don't have the file name. We have a malware infection name. That's not a file.
No, there was a file name.
Oh, there is a file. Yeah, good point. Yeah, let's do that. Virus total. Yeah, let's do that.
There's actually a name there pointed out.
There's a what?
There's actually a program name out there that you just showed under detail.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, web server or something.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay.
If we're kind of discussing the definitions for viruses, Microsoft, I'm hearing some potential thumbs down, then we need a broader opinion. If we're kind of discussing the definitions used for viruses at Microsoft, well, it's just a class of virus. That's all we're being told about that particular infection name. Very confident Microsoft identifies a virus, that it is what they say it is. Well, to do an offline virus scan, it really has to do with how much data is on the drive, less than 80 in an hour at the most. Yeah, that web server, .exe, brings up another criticism about Windows 10 and how Windows Defender works these days. It's not very intuitive. I think there's a lot of speculation on what information you're getting. All right, so let's go have a look at that. This one. Switch mice. Click OK to close that. Yeah, this is just alerting about the behavior that it finds of that program, potentially unwanted behavior. I'm going to leave it in place and come down to, let's see, what do they do? Scan options allowed. Oh, there it is. Microsoft Defender offline. You try to fix that Windows sizing.
Actually, that runs in about 1 minute. That just does your boot sector stuff.
Yeah. I think it's a quick thing. And there's a scan now. Now, when I do this, it's going to reboot into a Windows recovery environment of some sort. Because I understand.
Basically a DOS version.
Yeah. All right. So in order to show that on screen, I have to make my capture device the primary video device. So the way I'm going to do that is change my connections around now, and then I'll click on the Scan Now button, and you might not get to see me click on that. Not sure. Oh, yeah, that is going to work. All right, because I already had this window dragged over to the second monitor, which is my capture device. So I unplugged the physical monitor. So now the capture device is the only video that's connected. Here, clicking Scan Now. save your work. Microsoft Defender offline scan will take some time and restart your device. Save all work before continuing. Clicking scan. User account control. Now there's the potential that something might be showing up on the screen number 1 that I can't see right now. But it looks like it's switched over to using this monitor as primary. Next comment from Londog. Something is, not very intuitive, a lot of speculation on what information you're getting when something is detected. I wish I could just point to your machine and show you what does that mean. Why can't they just print, as all other virus scanners do, the name of the file where it's located? Oh, we didn't go look at virus total, I'm sorry. Right in your face, no digging, no interpretations. Demeanor, why not scan the computer with other software like ESET? I tried that. Let's see, ESET online scanner. I tried that, and I'm trying to make sure that I don't get things confused because I'm thinking that it failed to run, refused to launch. And I do like ESET online scanner. See, then Wintermute, get the path. Mondog, then Doug, if I saw that last screen correctly, it showed you the executable virus file. Put that in virus total. Right, yes. What offline scanning does is shuts the machine down, reboots into something like Microsoft Security Essentials, runs the machine through virus scan without Windows, or probably more accurately, Windows pre-environment. Yeah, I believe that is accurate, but we're not seeing anything. And the hard drive activity light is running. I think it's happening on the primary monitor. It's this monitor. Not seeing anything. Okay, well, I disconnected that monitor because I didn't fix it for us. What am I going to do? I'm going to try resetting the capture device. Yeah, I'm going to switch to a different screen here. That's going to turn off my picture-in-picture, so I'm going to be broadcasting a black screen except for that no signal. I have to do that to get access to the video input configuration for the capture device. That's not working, so if I can get VGA connection to my capture device. We'll get you back on the primary monitor, except that the primary monitor isn't giving a good signal anyway. Okay, disconnected the capture device from the computer, then connected the primary monitor, and see if that'll wake up. No. All right, in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in DVR mode to pick up that file name, and then just go to VirusTotal and, yeah, is that valid? Type in that file name without actually. When you submit a file to VirusTotal, is it actually looking at that file, or is it just looking at its database for that file name? I think it must be looking at that file.
Well, you would have to actually upload I think you have to
You'd have
upload
to
the
be
file
uploading it.
itself. So
Yeah, you'd have to upload it. We could, if we were actually using sysinternals as a way of checking specific files through VirusTotal. Yeah, I don't think going to VirusTotal without actually having the file on hand is going to do much. And okay, there's the ESET, the executable file. I think what we're going to do is wind up just waiting for it to finish and then restart the computer again. As long as there's hard drive light activity going on, I don't want to. I'm inclined to not interrupt it. Oh, here's the path. So Wintermute went back and grabbed the path. Now, I actually could connect to one of the computers in their office and download that file to my computer, and then we would be able to check it through VirusTotal. Because all of their workstations would have that file. Yeah, and that's another method, is to take the hard drive out of this computer, connect it to another good computer, and do a scan. LonDog does not like the ESET online scan tool. They leave stuff on your machine. Get something from ESET as running a scan on your machine. You won't know it till it finishes. I have not had that experience with them. AW Cleaner, Malwarebytes, Scan may find it. Well, there's lots of products that may find this. Yeah, there's no shortage of products. The other day, downloaded Malwarebytes and got back to their old games. Free version is not what you think. Yeah. Old tricks. Uninstall. 14-day trial.
you can always bypass the 14-day trial. You go into the settings, you go to account, you deactivate, it becomes the free version. The only real difference is that you have to do your scans manually.
Yeah.
I've been running it that way for years.
Kaspersky as a free tool, yeah. What VirusTotal is doing, Doug, is taking the file name and running it across all the VirusTools as you know, looking for the characteristics of that file. I believe it actually copies the file and then does an analysis on it. Because there are other characteristics in a virus, like using the file name but corrupting the data, which will change the checksum or at least the file size. Intermute says, please don't run it. Not sure which he's referring to there. Did not find in Google anything about the name Web Server 2. And I've come across that name before in this software product. And the software product, the author of it advises us to make an exception in his folder in our antivirus products, which I know many of you object to that, as do I, but my hands are tied on that. After you install Malwarebytes, go into the account settings, deactivate the free trial, you'll get the free version. Golden ball, but there's no guarantee that the other systems have exactly the same file if it's actually infected. Yeah, fair point. I mean, if a Trojan were to attach itself onto the file in this particular computer, it could be that the others aren't the same. But because the author of that software advises us to put in an exception, I think it's likely that he knows that it's often hits as a false positive. All right, caught up on chat.
I don't know if this is going to show up well or not. Let me just see. Here was an interesting machine that I had to do one time.
Let me spotlight your video so we can.
It might not show up well or not.
Threat results: 1,619 of 1,619 identified items are selected. Now is in Malwarebytes free.
Yeah, this is from 2019.
Ah, yeah.
That was one of my more interesting machines. I've had since then one or two machines that have actually exceeded that, and that's frightening.
I've seen massive results like that too. Not for a long time. Back in the Windows 95 era.
That was either a Windows 8 or Windows 10 machine. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, it was not unusual for me to have at least one major virus remediation every month. And now I think it's been maybe years. Now, however, it's entirely possible that I've come across infected computers where I've just opted to wipe and reload rather than.
Yeah, I've only ever had to do that in the 30 plus years I've been playing with computers. I've only ever had to do that once.
Do that, meaning a wipe and reload or a remediation?
Wipe and reload.
All right.
I've only ever had to do that once due to some virus of some sorts that I couldn't get rid of.
All right.
Oh, and to answer Dave's Hall, the reason I laughed was Dave's Hall's question. Don't waste your time with that. Don't waste your time. You're better off, quite frankly, relying on the built-in Windows Defender and either a free, if you want to run it manually, or a paid version of Malwarebytes. PCmatic, no, please don't do that.
I don't have much to say one or the other about it. My gut reaction is I know that I've come across it here and there and
It's almost a scam.
just walked away from it. Yeah. Lawn Dog, Doug, this opens an interesting potential discussion concerning virus total how about when it comes back saying 5 of 100 virus tools say this is a bad file, which should be, I'm thinking. I have come across that. And I would typically add in my own sense of the situation, meaning if the computer's not misbehaving, just not causing any problems, I might go look a little more detailed into, and I have gone look a little more detailed into what those 5 vendors say about it, and I've typically found that I didn't think that it was alarming at all. So if it's a low number like that, a low percentage of them, I'm not bothered.
Hey, Doug.
Yeah.
I know you're reading chat, but to respond with what you just said, if you're running kind of vanilla and you know what you're doing on your system, and I say that loosely, but I wouldn't worry. But if you added, or I would worry if you saw that, but if you added something, even Adobe phones home, as they say, a lot of other software, and that's what this is looking at, or it might modify something based on something you're doing. Vertical software, like I said, is in his law, directory. Almost everything has something doing that today. And what last month, Edge and Google had one was being identifying them as viruses or malware because they were phoning home both of those. If you remember, I don't know if you guys saw that last month, or was it July, August? It lasted about 4 days. Every time you went to another website or YouTube or whatever, it said virus, malware, notified you in the middle. Defender didn't like it. Because one of those virus scans identified the stuff going out as problems. But almost every software that you buy today, Windows 360 or Office 365, Visual Studio, Oracle, SQL Server, phones home at times. And depending upon which malware hunter you have, they're all going to identify them sooner or later. It's something. So one's not all that much better or worse than the other. It's just, and if you didn't put anything on and you're just running, let's say, LibreOffice and Windows and Google, probably shouldn't have any viruses. But when you start putting third-party programs and you might have stuff that's phoning home, but don't delete it right away or it might not work.
And that's basically what I've found when I go investigating the 4 or 5 vendors in VirusTotal that object to the file, is that they're objecting to things that are doing things like that, phoning home, or they were threat vendors that were highly concerned about any kind of privacy type questionable activity, as opposed to being a more severe threat.
At work, we have software that we pay per the seat for update capabilities, or if you add an order or whatnot, you have to pay per the seat to have people to do that. And each time somebody logs on, the counter is kept at our site, but it also goes to the vendor site and says, "Oh, you guys went past that 1,000-person limit today. We're going to send you bill at the end of the month for us." Some of these we're actually paying $100 a month for a person to use it.
Then
and
here,
they keep track of it.
Wintermute hits us with this term PUPs, potentially unwanted programs. That a lot of some of the more aggressive vendors in VirusTotal will be objecting to things that are potentially unwanted. Is it really unwanted or potentially unwanted? And that was an objection that I had to a lot of the virus scanners, that they would come up with thousands of threats, and I think there was a point back in time where every cookie that was found on your computer was part of that count. It's excessive. And so it's a total automatic infection. So has been and never will change. Scanning through McAfee, anyone? Just kidding. Someone to bring up the famous PC Medic program. Obviously showed somebody from the olden days with little bitty knowledge about history. For God's sakes, I hope that company's totally gone. Ryan says, I don't see many viruses anymore. I've had a hijacked web browser a few years ago. It was called Incredibar by Sweetpacks. Yeah, I remember There's another program like PC Booster or something. It was a scam. Made a lot of them. But I made a lot of money to some extent fixing those machines. Lawn Dog says, okay, I got the machine turned on with Malwarebytes. I'm in the account section in blue. It gives me a choice to deactivate. I suppose that's what you want me to click on. I think that's a question for Jim. Looks like he's trying to find how to
Yeah, he's got it.
turn off the trial. That's the right place.
Got it.
All right.
Yeah.
I have 3 choices: activate, license, deactivate, and buy now. Let's push deactivate. Oh, you said you already answered that. I did the trick. Now I'm actually running the free version. Thanks for the tip. I'm indebted to you. There you go, Jim. Something you can collect on.
That's a scary thing for anybody to be indebted to me. You don't want that. That's a bad time.
Ask for something for your late night martinis.
Yeah.
Still nothing on that screen.
Oh yeah, I don't expect that to come back for a while, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I think we're probably gonna shut this down. I'll let it go for hours. Well, it's a solid drive light. Now it's flickering again. I'll let it go for hours before
There have been
something.
Long Dog was asking about some of my adventures in virus removal. Well, there are many,
Yeah.
Too numerous to count. But I will tell you this: at least a few years ago, anytime a machine would come into me that had even signs of an infection, there were several factors that indicated, well, yeah, I'm going to run a malware scan on this thing, and I'm just going to let it run overnight. And those factors are typically, it will come in with both Norton and McAfee installed. Okay.
Yeah.
Both with expired subscriptions on both of them. And somewhere I'll find LimeWire installed on the machine.
Ooh, that's a name from the past.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm hammering myself trying to remember LimeWire. I know that word. I can't.
It's a file
place what it was.
sharing, mostly
Oh,
music
okay.
file sharing thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Precursor to BitTorrent.
Yeah.
All right.
But those
Yeah.
are usually the most common features of the machine. I would see in the tray, there's Norton there with an expired subscription. McAfee's on there also with an expired subscription. And I'm like, gee, I can't imagine why this machine has probably got a massive infection. Unbelievable.
There's a new one that are not new. It's about 3 years old that I call the infection of the week. Has anybody heard of Total AV?
I've heard of it. I've
had some friends that tried it, and it's worse than nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's $19.
Well, Doug, I got to tell you, the fact that the machine took 4 hours for the drive to finally calm down, and that's unfortunately nothing impressive to me. I once had a laptop where I ran a malware scan. It took 14 hours to get through the machine.
Yeah, but this wasn't doing a scan.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You think that's a long time to wait? Oh no, baby, I got you.
Oh, I've done processes that I've allowed to run for days.
Just nasty.
And specifically, those were file recovery actions. I've told the story before about an attorney's office that they were not an existing client. They called me out of the blue that their drive is crashed and they don't have any backups. And I picked up their computer, and it took multiple days, but I did recover most of their data. And then they tried to not pay me. And
that takes a pair.
Yeah.
No, it takes a degree.
Well, no, let's go a little bit further. Not only did they try to not pay me, what they did was they sued me in small claims court to avoid paying me. They had not paid me. I sent them an invoice. They already told me they weren't going to pay me before I sent them the invoice.
Huh.
And then they took me to small claims court and lost and paid me.
Right. Yeah, but remember, you said the magic words. You were dealing with attorneys. We
Yeah,
have nothing
yeah.
better to do than to screw with people. We do that
Yeah.
by the flick of a switch today.
Yeah, well, I later learned that this guy had that reputation in our town as doing that. And the reason why his grounds for not paying me was not dissatisfaction for the file recovery. It's that we ordered him a new computer, and when the computer came in, he called me and said, "The computer's here. I need you to come over and set it up right now." I said, "Well, I can't come right now. I'm working for another client right now." And he got all upset and bent out of shape about that I didn't come right now. And he insisted that was part of our contract. We had no contract. I wasn't billing him for the setup of the new machine until that work was actually done.
Jesus. This
So
guy's
then-
got a pair
Yeah.
bigger than Texas. Holy God.
So I said, "No, I can't come right now." He yelled at me. He said, "Good luck collecting what I owe you." So I wound up sending him a bill. I probably got around to it within a few days to send him a bill. And then, I don't know, a month or two later, I get this small claims court summons that he's suing me. And truth of the matter, if he just would have ignored the bill and not paid me, I never would have even called him. I don't do well with the stress of trying to collect debts. And if people don't pay me on the first invoice I send them, I just don't do any more work for them. So if he would have just ignored the invoice, he would have got away. But he sued me.
That takes a large pair of cojones. That's
Yeah.
what that does. That's amazing.
So what I did to establish to make my case in court was I took in the invoice to him, and my invoices are very detailed. And I took in other invoices to show this is the way that I work. I am services on demand. I don't do any contracts. I always bill after the work. There's no money paid up front, except maybe in the case of ordering new computers. But even then, not for my regular clients. And so the judge looked at the evidence I had and asked this guy, why are you not paying him? And he goes into this thing about, well, he didn't set up my new computer. That was part of our contract. Judge says, there's no contract here. Pay him. I'm paraphrasing.
Hey, Doug, it's Josh.
Hi, Josh.
What about running emergency software?
What?
MC-Soft? Are you talking about MC-Soft's emergency repair kit?
Yeah.
Well, sure, it could do that. You could come up with 24 things that I can do.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, I don't have to put this computer back into service ever.
Yeah.
And even if I did, let's suppose even if any of these tools were successful, is my confidence level in that high enough to put it back into that office? No. There's once I discover the computer is this level of sick, no, just wipe and reload. Now, that's the business Doug. The curiosity Doug is a different person.
I think we established that a while ago.
Yeah.
Have I missed something? Is there another virus that I don't know about or that you're talking about?
The behavior of the computer. No, I don't. That file that was identified, I don't think that's what's causing the hard drive behavior that we're seeing.
I think
that's no, the hard drive. The computer performs really, really well until I connect it to the internet.
That's a classic. That's a classic sign. Yeah.
Well, was he complaining of that or just upgrading? Because a lot of software, especially with legal stuff. I mean, I have stuff on mine that work with Westlaw, and There's a lot of phone homes there.
Gary, if when he showed the photos, the list of things that were running, there's like 36 instances of Candy Crush running. Well, at least it says
Well-
it's Candy Crush running.
Well, delete that right off the bat. I mean, that's on no computer that I've ever seen. I mean, I know what it is. That's just gone. Xbox gone. You know, there's not games on work computers. I don't know what he does for a living other than attorney, but no, other than that. But a lot of stuff, like I said, like Westlaw with lawyers, that is phoning home religiously. And it's, if you got cases open, it's checking stuff all day. So that could be a lot of that. But Candy Crush, I agree, I saw it too. I mean, but that shouldn't be on the new computer, and it will be if he gets a new computer with Windows.
But there is more to it, Gary, that I think you're not
Yeah,
aware
you're
of.
right.
Yeah, yes, the client was complaining of severe performance problems, and I witnessed them in his office, and they were not consistent. But when he would, oftentimes he would call me complaining the problem, and I'd have him restart the computer, and then he says, "So it's okay. It's running okay now." So when the computer is performing fine, it was performing fine. When it gets into this behavior that I showed the photos of, it's a miserable nightmare to try to use. You click on the start button, and it takes 30 seconds for the start menu to appear.
Well, I understand. I agree with what you're saying. I'm just saying it could be something vertical, and I'm not trying to get too involved with it. I'm sorry, but I've seen stuff like that. And a lot of
this computer is there's 35 computers in this office, all with the same software, all configured the same. Even this model computer. So
really,
there's something not
Funky,
normal
yeah.
about this computer right now.
Yeah.
No, that is very good. Oh, it's up.
that one it must have an error though.
That's what she said.
So you see that little bit of blue screen there? That's the computer restarted.
Go check and see if we have any history on the Windows Defender.
Oh, and to answer a few questions, you can find 36 antivirus packages, and honestly, I mean, one of the few things I agree with with Carrie Holzman on is that the built-in Windows Defender, and if you want a real-time scan, a paid version of Malwarebytes are the only two things that you need. The rest of it you can throw away. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's Kaspersky, Norton, McAfee, I don't care. None of it, because most of them are resource hogs.
Yeah, and they're after money. They're
Yeah, and you don't get a
I
free
don't-
version of Norton at all. I mean, as soon as the trial ends, the thing stops updating.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a blank screen here for a little bit. Broadcasting on blank screen right now. Still not getting a live image. Oh, let's try this. Disconnected the USB cable from the device, from the capture device. That woke it up. Okay, so here's the screen back.
So let's go look at our disk activity, I guess.
Yeah, I like that as a first thing to look at. So bring up Task Manager and drag it over to the screen.
Yeah, I love this. But back in the days, Norton used to be pretty good. Yeah, it used to be. The main phrase in that, or main word in that phrase, used to be.
Well, I was all on board with Norton until it became a problem, with McAfee until it became a problem, with whatever other names there were. We're going back to Windows 95 days. Windows 3.11 really didn't. I don't remember what we were doing then. So here's disk at 1%.
Already at 1%. That's a good sign.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
Okay.
I guess we probably want to go into the history of Windows Defender, see what it found.
Yeah. Okay, I'm calling that up on the other screen, then I'll drag it over.
Oh, is it physically get connected to internet at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's see. It looks like, yeah, you can't tell from that monitor, but yes, it's showing the internet connection on the primary monitor. Okay, threat details. Threats found. Start the recommended actions. So this would be that that law office threat. Protection history. View the latest protection actions recommended
there.
from Windows.
It's
No
getting
recent actions. What'd you say?
I thought it was, that's weird. It
You think
shows
it's
up.
it's showing nothing.
That's weird.
We
I don't
haven't
think
done
it-
any protection yet. That's not the virus history, that's the
right.
protection history. So you haven't excluded
right.
anything or quarantined.
Well, I went to see threat details. Isn't that what I went to?
I
Yeah.
would
No.
have thought so, but that's weird. It's not coming up.
Yeah.
Go to virus and protection, the second one down.
No,
Virus
we're in the
and
right
threat
place.
protection here.
No, over
Is
to
it?
the left, well, there, whatever, same thing.
This one on the left-hand side you're asking for, Gary, where it says virus and threat protection,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
let's make it.
Well, I think
Here.
that's probably the same as clicking right in there, but let's go.
Okay, Windows
Current
security.
threats. So here is that. It's like it's that one.
yeah, it's still there.
And then details. And that gives me a user account control on monitor number 1. And there it is, that law local again. So let's, while we're here, let's go ahead and let virus total check on that. Tricky moving things here. Use file.
Yeah, so
This
you're
is
gonna
how
have
it's
to.
actually going to upload the file.
Yeah, yeah.
All local backup. Let's see, somebody put it into chat the specific name. There it is. Underscore extras. And then web. Well, that's fun. It's not there.
Mm,
In alphabetical order.
Hold on.
WEB.
Showing hidden.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Give me hidden options panel here to turn on hidden, or do I have to do that?
no,
before
it's
you-
there. It's under view.
This drop down?
Up at the hold on. I can't. I gotta look at it.
This is not File Explorer. This is a browse
okay.
window from the
Okay.
browser. So
Okay.
I don't think it is there. So
What-
I'm gonna leave that open and just open a web File Explorer and go change that. I think we may have to close that file browse window and reopen it.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so if I come over here and show hidden items, it's not a system file, so I shouldn't have to turn that on. So and then I'll go browse through File Explorer and see if it's there. Local, backup, extras. E keyboard. There's no WE because it didn't go to the WE file. It got stuck at WC. I'm scrolling down. There's no WE. We are currently
Yeah, that's
doing,
weird.
yeah, hidden files. Okay, search for WEB. Enter. No. Items matching.
What time did you start to reboot, Doug?
What time did I start the reboot?
Yeah, your time.
Are you referring to the offline scan?
Yeah, I'm sorry, yes.
I don't,
It was
I
40
didn't
minutes
make a note
ago.
of the time.
It was
Yeah.
40 minutes ago.
Yeah, that find though is from 9:47, so that was before you did the online scan.
It may
So I
have
didn't
already
find it-
removed it.
Yeah, what's
Yeah.
actually your error looks like it's because you don't have virus scanning actually on. Take a look. I bet it's not on. I think that's actually the red area you have is you do not have your virus scanning. I might be wrong, but
Okay.
Yeah, the offline scan may have already taken care of it.
Yeah. Threats found. Start. Well, if it did, would it still be telling us threats found?
yeah, threats found, but this action
All
wants
right.
you to start the recommended action, which is probably
All right.
turn it on.
All right. Now then,
Yeah,
And
see down
I'll-
here, it says manage warnings under threat protection. You went,
manage warnings under threat protection.
go to the left, or go back one screen, please. Up at the top. Okay, down almost to the bottom of the screen in blue, under virus threat
All right.
protection
There,
settings,
manage settings. All right.
manage settings, it should, I'll bet it says it's off.
No, it says it's on. Real-time protection. Is that
Yeah, I
what
see
you're
it.
looking for?
Yeah, it usually says it's off when it's red. I should respond to it, but it's not there. That's cool.
Okay, so now if I try to quarantine it, but it's already been removed, it should give me some kind of a failure message, wouldn't you think?
I would think. Or it just may clear it may clear it just because it was in there before.
Yeah, it looks like that's what it did. This last scan lasted 2 hours, 52 minutes. So it just, that window just closed, so it didn't tell me that it was successful or not successful.
Is there anything under the protection history now?
No.
Yeah, okay, weird.
Try running a quick scan.
Well, to that point, I believe I did. Yeah, I did do the quick scan probably a couple weeks ago, and it came up clean. So, but no, that makes sense to me because that file that it found was not running in memory. So quick scan's not going to scan the files that are dormant on the disk. And I don't think that file that was found was actually the trouble. Now, we don't know that the problem is solved yet. One restart and seeing clean disk activity does not really prove it to me because it was not a consistent symptom. When I noticed the symptom was present yesterday and I had it in mind that might be the content for today, then I started working with it and taking pictures. But I cannot tell you what percentage of restarts results in excessive disk activity because I haven't done enough attempts. to document that. So over the next week, I suppose, I may just leave it here and restart it once in a while and see if the symptom is returned or not.
Do you have or would you risk starting up his software but not going into it to detail, just to start like the front menuing system?
Not possible. That software requires the server
To
component
okay.
to be present. It won't launch.
It won't launch at all. Okay. That's fine.
No. And that file was not part of the actual user interaction with the software anyway. I don't believe. That was in a backup folder, and it that software, the nature of that software is it has the capability of any computer performing the server side of the function. But the data files have to be present. The data files aren't present on this computer.
Well, yeah, they should be on a server, definitely.
Yeah.
But what I was thinking is it may affect, because what I'm thinking when I saw backup, again, going with what I know from our stuff, is it's keeping it, we don't let it keep track of it, we keep track, oh, you now access this pleading or this, that, whatnot. And we got to click that onto the backup because it's been changed. A change management software for talking documents and whatnot.
Now, something about how this software works. It has the capability for any computer that has the software installed to perform a backup when and it would typically do that when they exit the program. Well, I disable that on their workstations because it's pointless. We back up the server. So if their workstation performs that backup, I think it's actually copying files from the server to the workstation as a backup, and it makes it take quite a while for them to exit the program. I'm wondering now if this computer had that function enabled years ago, and that backup folder was just residual from way back then, and it's quite possible that the author of this software has changed that file so that it doesn't trigger false positives, so that file is never being utilized or active, and it's just been sitting there idle. Now that backup folder, if that's the case, then that backup folder would have a lot of very obsolete dates. That we can go look at. Minimize that. Bring up File Explorer, and here's that backup extras folder, sort in date order. Well, August 30th.
Did you do a restore maybe?
No, I didn't do any restore, but I do recollect recently seeing that backup operation happen. It is quite possible that his computer had that backup operation active, and that August 30th might have been a date when that computer was still in his office.
You'd have a couple of July 30th there also, like a month in type of thing, possibly.
Yeah, good point.
Not calendar, but some kind of close procedure.
And then prior to those dates was March, but it's quite possible that these files that we're looking at, their date got updated each time one of those backups occurred. So it clearly was not disabled on his computer, the backup function.
How about looking at the backup? Okay, yeah, I was going to say, what are the...
Yeah, see, here's a data folder that's August 30th.
Yeah, end of the month.
Yeah, well, the next thing that I might do, and I'm not going to do it during stream today, is to check out their other computers, connect to one of them remotely, and see if that particular file is visible. That would just confirm that Windows Defender did delete it, but I don't see any way. Yeah, I don't find any way that I could possibly believe at this point that that was the source of the infection that was causing that excessive drive activity.
I have
Now,
a question.
Yeah.
Well, the Candy Crush definitely shouldn't have.
Yeah, I was curious to know. I was curious to go into the apps and see if Candy Crush is actually on the machine.
That would be a good one too.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Let's go to apps and get rid of it.
Get rid of it? Why? This computer's not going back into service.
Okay, I didn't know that you used.
Candy Crush just sits there idle. It shouldn't be active anytime, unless somebody's using it.
Well, somebody forgot to tell Candy Crush because we saw a whole bunch of crap going on.
But I think that was because of whatever infection is actually here. And it's disguising its activity as things that it knows are already on the computer. That's a technique that malware uses. We know that. I'll go catch up with chat. Which mouse is it? Oh, wrong mouse. Where was I at? It's 1:02 now. That's 12 noon an hour ago. I must have been beyond that. That's highlighted when I went back to figure out where we needed to be. Recognize some of that. Demeanor with question marks here. Yeah, I saw that earlier. No guarantee that the other systems have exactly the same file if it actually infected. I recognize that file name. I'm sure they do have that same file. And I don't think that that file was actually true. I think it was a false positive. Comes to say, yeah, okay, that's old stuff. Somebody mentioning LimeWire, Kazaa, BearShare.
Oh yeah, because that was another one.
Yeah. Yeah, there's another one that feels like it's on the tip of my memory that was real commonplace, file sharing.
There were 3 or 4 of them at one point.
Yeah. Jim and Doug have dealt with more and deeper problems. Thankfully, most of my customers just common users. Liability and pressure. And well, actually, I don't feel a lot of that because I don't do contracts. I never promise that I will keep your computers running smooth. Never promise that I will keep your computers clean. About all I do is promise to be available for whatever you need me to do. Remember that you tell, Ryan's remembering me telling that story about the lawyer that sued me. Problem with advertising on Craigslist, I don't, never have. McAfee and Norton for paid version, are they any good? Are they any good? Well, yeah.
They are. They just happen to be resource hogs. They'll bog the machine down. You better pray you got at least 8 gig in the machine.
Yeah. That doesn't mean that they're preferable. I prefer to stay with Windows Defender because I know my clients are never going to ignore the prompt to renew the subscription. And I don't have to keep after or keep records for subscriptions. And if I recommend Norton or McAfee to them, and then those products cause a problem, which I have had that happen on every product that I have, every additional product that I have paid for, had my clients paid for, come across them causing trouble. So if I recommend something and it causes trouble, Now I am ethically on some level of a hook. So, yeah, I don't. None of them have my confidence level high enough for me to recommend them above Windows Defender. Happy with Windows Defender. It's not perfect. My clients may get infections, case in point, but it's not my liability. Used Norton's for years, hate McAfee. Oh, yes. But if you ask the guys, both are up to no good. Yeah, they are. All of those products are up to good and no good. Because they are businesses. They're always trying to make more money. That's what they're supposed to do. I like computers given to me basically that I don't have to put back into service, gives me the opportunity to resolve the problem with the computer in a different manner sometimes. Yep, that's what we're doing here. Knowing that I don't have to get it back online immediately as fast as possible. Tell me when you wrote it down so I deleted. Oh, that's between the two of them. That file that Windows found, is that actually a virus infection? No, I don't believe that file that it found. I do not believe that that's a virus infection. I believe that's a false positive. And we've had that. We've had false positives before with this software author, and he has told us you should put in a virus exception for my folder. He's told us that it can trigger false positives. So Doug, to clarify, when the computer's put on the internet, that's when the hard drive goes nuts. I haven't proven that. I have used this computer not connected to the internet, and it worked wonderfully. Subsequently, I'd connected it to the internet, and sometime after that, it could have been immediately, I don't know, it started this misbehavior. It is quite possible if I leave this disconnected from the internet and test it over a long enough period of time that I may find the hard drive activity still occurs. I don't think that'll be the case, but I have not proven it. I haven't proven either side of that. I had one client who's an attorney, but what he does is do case research for attorneys, does a lot of intensive research about a case and anything else. This guy was known for literally wearing out computers, namely hard drives, way back in the XP days. The other thing they could wear out is the keyboard. Every day he would start his computer, run a scan. When he shut it off, it wouldn't be long before the mechanical hard drives would have a shortened life, but he was a fantastic customer, great person to know. Ryan says, I enjoy hanging out with you. Guys, I have two of the exact same compact models that were from the XP area. They both had SATA and IDE. I call them transition boards. They're great to have back in those days.
Oh, Java.
I remember hearing about that hard drive running AV on startup or shutdown. Oh, I'm sorry, that's between the two of them. Let me skip through this a little quicker. And to look for something that just jumps out at me. There goes the screen jumping again. Golden Ball, might Candy Crush itself have been infected? I don't think that was good. Well, I think whatever infection was present had multiple different things. There were that Candy Crush photo. I noticed that when it came up. The prior photos did not have Candy Crush. There were other Windows-related elements that were showing up there. I think the infection was jumping around using various different files. That one photo you saw had a lot of Candy Crush, but the prior photos I don't believe had Candy Crush in them. Well, there are other reasons to use Microsoft Defender. One is that these companies have to hack into Windows into protected areas. In order to do what they do, they don't have full free access. Our friend Leo Laporte talks about this all the time. Also, in the case of McAfee, I believe the other one have all been found to have exploits. Program data, Microsoft Windows Defender quarantine. All right, there's a something. Let's do that. So I copied that, and then Windows key R that's showing up on the other screen. Can I drag the run window over? Where'd it go? Oh, it won't. Oh, I'm on the wrong button. There it comes. There's a run window and Control V to paste. That didn't work. Oh, no, I can't paste from chat onto this computer I'm remotely connected to. // program data / Microsoft / oh, look at that. I have my fingers wrong.
What in the world are you typing?
Yeah, gibberish.
I'm just curious what's happening.
Program data. Now I can just go to there and / program data and press enter. It'll give me browsing for that. Then I can go using the mouse, click on Microsoft.
Windows, I think, wasn't it? Yeah.
Let's see. It said first Microsoft, Windows Defender,
Windows Defender at the bottom screen.
and quarantine. Click to continue permissions. And here's quarantine. We're in the quarantine folder. I see entries, resource data, and resources. In entries, there's a September 17th, so there is an item dated today, around the time when that quarantine would have occurred, with 1 kilobyte in size. I don't know anything else to do with that. All that might be implying that a quarantine did take place. In resource data, there's a similar, with the same name, 4764 is the end of that name.
No, it's not the same name.
Not the same name. I don't
It's
know.
also a larger size.
Yeah. But we're not finding this one's the same file name, or the same last 4 anyway. But we're not finding that particular file name showing up here. And
No, but it may have done that on purpose.
yeah, I would think that we don't want that file to actually have been copied to that location. And that was from. Oh, actually, that was Wintermute to Dave Hall for the situation that Dave Hall's going through. So probably that wasn't intended for me anyway. And I'll reread that. William, anyone can get a virus if you click the wrong key, even if the correct key. Yeah.
Oh, just mistype a URL into your browser and watch what happens.
And it doesn't, and it also could be a perfectly valid, acceptable website that you went to that has been compromised and get your computer infected without you doing anything wrong. Since this machine won't be going back to the client, it might be worth trying out a system restore point. What would be the upside or downside of that? What is that going to do for me?
Well, depending on when the infection occurred, the restore point could put it back.
It could put the infection back. I don't know that the infection is gone. If it does restore and a restore point gets us back to a normal operating computer, what am I going to do with that piece of information? Now, this computer they've been complaining about for a few months. And they would complain about it being slow, and I'd connect remotely and say, show me what's slow. And they couldn't because it wasn't slow then. And I would go into the office and I'd check it out. Seems fine to me. When is it slow? And they couldn't give me a good answer to that. I would do some checks on it and not find anything alarming. But then one day I did see a very clear problem, and we were needing to get new computers anyway. So I did not investigate it any further. I said, let's just go ahead and put in a new computer. They said, sure. So I think a restore point, it'd have to be a very, very old restore point to clear up this problem.
Doug?
Yes, Gary.
Is there anything, just throw out something, is there anything special that this user does that other users don't regularly do? Maybe a management function or a clerical function or an in-between function?
Well, in terms of software that he uses, no. In terms of how he utilizes software in their office, yes, but that difference is so minor. I think it's quite plausible that some of the web searches that law offices will do could take them into doing Google searches for something and then clicking on a search result that gets them to a compromised website is highly likely.
Agreed.
But that could happen to anyone in the office, and this person would be no more likely to encounter that than any others.
The reason I even suggested that is I've seen with financial with us that there's a certain couple of functions that they send down some security stuff for that particular function when it hits us, and then it shows up on one person, and you may not have, let's say, update corporate or partnership distribution for the quarter or whatnot. Maybe, I don't know if it's the owner or senior person, but that happens. That could be why everybody else doesn't see it. Is an example.
Well, I'll tell you what, an example of something that he sees that other people in the office don't see is my invoices. Could that cause problems to his computer?
Yeah, but I mean, he may have the authority to go higher up than somebody else, and some of their software may be putting more security because he has that authority, and that may be causing some kind of problem.
Yeah.
In other words, where you maybe has authority to, I'm just throwing this out, it's a $100,000 invoice, nobody else has authority. So some software vendor that you were using at that office, so anybody with over 100,000 has to go through, multiple authentications or something along those lines. But that's a thought.
Yeah.
But you're right, with attorneys, you'd be surprised at some of the stuff that you got to look at. Or same with us, we we invested in a company in the South, and we did all kinds of stuff.
Well, they do personal injury lawsuits and workers' comp, and so somebody gets injured, and they're gonna be going investigating, researching that particular, all around that particular subject area, and they could be doing Google searches on machinery that has blades on it and injuries caused, and they go do web searches on that, and it can go to somebody's blog post about somebody getting injured. They can be all kinds of
or even about the client.
Yeah. Research on the client, the business that are involved, the industry that's involved. So their web searches can take them far-flung places.
Exactly. Oh, seen that, done that, been there.
Yeah. Scanning that directory only. I think I'm kind of wearing down on my motivation to go further on this until I see if it is stable now.
I will tell you one last thing that I would have done with this particular, because you saw it in Law Backup. It's quite possibly called their software and ask it, if they have maintenance. Hey guys, did you have something like this running? They say, well, we have no clue what it is. Then it is definitely not theirs. But
I know this I know that file that we saw is legitimately part of that software product. I am
So
curious to see if that was an obsolete copy of that file. And yes or no, it is still irrelevant because it was in a backup folder.
Right.
Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
okay, how much, I'm thinking I'm just about getting to the point where I'm not going to catch up with chat and just put today
All about one
today.
file.
Quarantine back to its original location, submit the big file to virus total. Oh, from that folder we went to look in. Yeah, I'm losing my motivation for that. System restore. I use system restore often when it's called for, and it had a lot of success with it. Usually it solves a problem when I'm using it. File itself will be in resources, hex code, system restore. Not going to go further into that now because I'm really ready to put this to bed. Explaining the concept, trying to convey about the lawyer. I repair his computer on. He would go to those websites, get information. You never know if they're dubious. That's why he did so many virus scans. Not suggesting system restore as a way to clean an infection. Paranoid, piece of data all over the internet, simpler, real estate clients, additional hardware, go back 10, 12 years ago, virus insurgents were so uncommon. Wait a minute, what? We have to go back to what was going on 10 or 12 years ago when viruses and intrusions were so uncommon.
I remember that day. Please tell me.
Period. Uncommon. That was before Google went through and swept the. Okay, before Google. Yeah, if you're saying going back before Google, I think that's more than 10 or 12 years ago. If you're saying before Google, viruses were more about floppy disks being put into a computer from a bulletin board service.
Or the famous computer shows.
Yeah, computer shows, right. Reach the end of things. Just see what happens over time. I'm sorry, that should have been common. Sorry, Doug. Not sure what that was about. Flash drive you found in the parking lot. Yeah. All right, let's say goodbye. Coming back to the Zoom. Preferably an audible bye from the people in the Zoom if you can.
Say good night, Gracie.
Shalom.
Good night, Gracie. Good night,
Thank you, everybody. Jeff's on the phone. All right. And I'll close out the Zoom session. End meeting for all. Thank you, everybody there. And then come back here. Thanks for hanging out with us. I hope that was useful. Have a great day. Catch you later. Goodbye.